So now I'm going to create my corridor. So I come to the Home tab and I go Corridor, and I'm going to say VC Road 1. Okay, so I'm going to do the first road, and I'm going to set it on the Road 1 profile. And I'm going to use the College Drive. And there's not going to be a target surface, and I'm not going to set the base. So everything else should be set as is. And then I'm going to go OK. And there's my corridor 1 set. Now the next thing, I'm going to come over here underneath corridors. I'm going to go Properties. I right-clicked and went Properties. Go to Surface. I'm going to click on the icon to create a surface. And I'm going to change that to 1 in 5 design, and I'm going to add. Now, I want to look at the parameters again. Notice it starts off at 10 plus 0, 0. So on this one, we ended up starting at 10 plus, I'm going to start it at 10 plus 50 because our project site is, the contour data that we have isn't available at 10 plus 0, 0. So I'm going to start at 10 plus 50. Okay, and I'm not going to do any boundaries. So I'm set. Apply, rebuild. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and freeze off. So there's my little freeze button. Freeze off the purple lines. And on this, what it's created is the surface. Now, I don't like any of this information on the inside for my surface. So I'm going to create a polyline for a boundary. So I'm just arbitrarily picking a boundary line that follows enough of the surface to give me the information. So I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to change that because I'm just using it as a color. We'll turn it to blue. So up here in the surfaces, underneath the VC road, I'm going to add a boundary to that. And I'm going to say Road 1 boundary. Okay. And then I had already selected this as my boundary for it. Now on this, I need to put it on a layer. I'm going to put it on a layer, create one, because I want to turn it off. VC surface boundary, and I'm going to freeze it off. So I'm going to put this on the layer so I don't have to see it. VC boundary. The VC surface boundary helps to remember what you called it. And close. Now the reason that you're seeing this is because if you look at the surface, right click, edit surface style, I don't want to see the border. Apply and OK. So now you can see the contours of this being built. Okay. So I'm okay with how this looks right now. I may actually make the boundary the right-of-way line, but currently I'm not going to until I get my, what I might do, actually, I'll set that 5. It would be a better, smoother line if I did use this. So I'm going to delete, on this one, I'm going to delete that boundary, and it'll bring it back. Now, I am going to add, and I'm going to change that, so I'm going to call it Road 1. I've changed my mind. It's all good. Just to make it cleaner, and pick that. So now, whoops, and now I've got to create a second boundary. Add. I'm going to offset this one 5 feet. So that'll be a boundary. And then I'll change those two to the boundaries. All right, so I'm going to go add, and I'm going to say Road 1. A. I have to give it a distinctive name. Oops, that didn't work. I'm going to delete that one. Have it picked first, have that line picked, and then add the boundary. So I'm going to go road 1A. Whoopsie. Other direction. Undo. I don't use boundaries that often, so add. Well, I won't do a boundary. I'll show you a different way to do it. So on this one, I am going to go to the Edit Surface property. So I selected the name of it, Edit Surface Styles, and on this one, I'm going to turn my triangles on. This is why it's called a 10. Now I'm going to get rid of all the contours on the outside of it. So what you can do is edit and you can delete lines. And I am going to type in F for what I'm picking. Oops. Well, I'm spending more time on this than I want to. But I don't like having all those lines through there. So this might be a video on cleaning up a surface. So I'm going to go to Edit, Delete Line, and then I'm going to hit F for Fence, and I'm going to see how these light gray lines are going off at an angle. I'm going to delete those lines that direction. And then I'm just going to come back and pick the lines this direction. And I'm going to hit Enter. And it gets rid of those lines. It only gets rid of the lines of the surface that I'm picking. It does not affect the existing surface. So right click, delete lines. I'm going to use the fence command, F for fence, and I'm going to delete these contours through here. So that deletes these. All right. And I'm going to delete these also. Now, if I didn't want to do that, I'm going to undo that. I have a better idea. I'm going to have a better idea. If I change this, instead of it being 50, and make it 20, it causes my corridors to be rebuilt. Okay, now it shortens it 20 on that side, and so on this side I am only going to make it 5. Okay, and I'll rebuild my corridors. Think smarter, not harder. Okay, now the reason it builds this out is because it's tying in these 2 points. So I am actually going to go ahead and clean up this. So I go back to the definitions, I go Edit, and Delete Line. So I'm going to do F, type in F for fence, and I'm going to get rid of all of these lines. And now it deletes it to this edge, and I'm good with that. Now I got to go back and make sure that I delete the offsets that I made in the project. Okay, I'm going to turn off my triangles, apply and OK. Get rid of that one. That's a bogus line, and that's a bogus line. So now it looks better. Note that your contours, this one's green because it is a major contour and the rest are minor contours, but you can see that the low point is there. The other thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to start labeling the edges of pavement. Okay, now not the pavement, I'm sorry, the boundary property line. I'll get the right words in a minute. Now I got to do the surface on this one, so I'm going to create a corridor and I'm going to call it road 2, alignment road 2, road 2, assembly Valencia College Drive. I'm not going to uncheck that and go OK. Now, let me close this out. I'm going to come down to corridors. Now I'm on road 2. Right click, properties, surface. I'm going to add. I'm going to change that to 1 in 5 design. I'm going to add to the top, and I'm going to apply, and I'm going to rebuild. And OK. Now I'm going to freeze off the purple, the magenta lines. And there is my contours. All right. Now, I've got them coming out this direction. I'm going to delete out these contours because the information inside this area I'm gonna grade. I'm not gonna have somebody else grade. Okay, so I need to check something, make sure that's going out far enough. I'm doing this for a purpose. I want to make sure that the surface is created all the way to the edge. And I'll check that in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and clean these surface up. So I'll have to go to this one and right click on the road 2 surface and turn on its triangles. The triangles are how the surface was created. And now I am going to go to definitions, edit, and I'm going to delete the line. And I'm going to use a fence. And I'm going to come over here. And I'm just picking these points to get them to delete this interior. Too far. So I can undo that. Whoops. So I'm going to edit points, delete line, fence. You have to be careful. It's like I don't want to go all the way to the edge. I want to go to this point here and then back out. There, that's what I want to do. Now I just turn my surface, I turn off the border, and I turn off the triangles. Surface style. Fine, okay. There we go. Didn't want to regen. All right, so now I've got my surfaces set. So I'm going to start putting spot grades all over the lot lines. So to do that, you can come up to points and to surface on random points. Okay, it says select the surface or press the enter key. So I'm going to get it on surface road 1. That means these here. So I'm going to put my O snaps on and go that one, and I'll change the style in a minute. That one needs to be moved. I'm going to change my O snaps, clear all. It should just be end point. I'll have to go back to that one here. All right, it's not in order, but it's okay because I'm not going to look at the point number. I'm going to change these to. I'm also going to go ahead and set that point here. You set your highs and your lows in your road. So I'm going to do this intersection point too. All right. Now that's road 1. And now I'm going to do it for road 2. On grid, hit the enter key to get the list, and I do the second one. Now I go end point, end point. I'm going to do end point, end point. Do the here, 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 here. And I'm going to do there. Now, notice all of this. This isn't useful, so I'm going to stop this, my corridor to 2610. So if I go back, I just do a lot of cleanup as I move along. I'll change the style of the points in a minute, but when I see something like this, I need to go ahead and do it while I'm thinking about it. So in row 2, underneath properties, when it says parameters, we want to go to, we're going to stop it at 2610. Oops, it didn't let me change it. So 26 plus 10.05. And it should apply, rebuild. May have to change this one at the top. May have selected. There we go. No, it worked with the bottom one. All right, I just have to, I was impatient. Okay, so now I've got my points. So I'm going to click on one point and say select similar. And notice that it, if I can get it to zoom out, it picked all the points that I was working on. I don't want these points to change. So I am going to, whoops. These are being put on, I'm looking at the layer V node. So these are also on V node. So what I'll have to do is either select them individually or change those other ones back. I'm just going to select them individually right now. It'll be quicker to do it the other way, but I don't feel like doing a lot of manipulation today, so it won't take too long. Oops, forgot one. All right, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change that style to spot grade. And I'm going to change its default to elevation only. So now I've got the elevations at all those points. So I'll have to come up here, get rid of that one, because we're not going to use that one. And I'm going to set points, surface, random. Enter to pull up the surface that I want. I want surface 1, and I'm going to pick that point right there. So I'm going to change that, close that out, and I'm going to say I want spot grades. And that's what we usually call them, as spot grades, elevation only. Now we know what the spot grades are for our front lot grades. So if we look, this is a 76, which is pretty good because we're tying down to a 70, but it's 76 all the way to here. So what we'll do is we'll create a 1% slope and then a steeper slope off the back of our property. All right. Now we may end up having to put a little swale in here to get it to discharge here. So we might end up having to pipe it because we can't put water off of our property. But I think that's going to be it for this video right now. Just take a look at your contours. So this is a 75 and it's going up to an 84. So you'll have either a steeper slope, or I'll talk about grading in the future videos. So that's it for now.